This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, and I just wanted to share with you this post here, sending out thoughts and prayers to all the leftist women out there who are trying to figure out if they're supposed to put an Indian flag or a Pakistan flag in their Facebook bio. You know, with so much confusion surrounding world events and world leaders, I'm honestly not surprised right now that a lot of people are convinced that the leaders of France, Britain, and Germany have just been busted on a train traveling around while doing cocaine. This is one of the examples of the viral videos that are going around right now of the leaders of France, Britain, and Germany meeting on a train and having a bit of an impromptu press conference where the press, it wasn't expected they'd be entering this car, but lo and behold, they did. And people are claiming that, as you see here, Macron appears to have just, hidden a little bag of what they claim to be cocaine. Here is another angle of it. Alex Jones says, this cocaine-fueled, nuclear war-loving megalomaniacs on display. And here, again, is another angle of it where he also apparently grabs this, what some are claiming is apparently some sort of a device that doesn't even make sense that this is a device that would be used for cocaine use. I mean, if you look closely, guys, it clearly, to me, resembles something much more of a tissue than a bag of cocaine. And honestly, you have to question yourself, if it was coke, why would he do this? You know, if just watch this closely, guys. He has it in his right hand right now. He's surrounded by the press in a huge semicircle. He's photos and videos are being taken of him in a massive press circle all around him right now as he's posing for the cameras. And what does he do? He transfers it from one hand to the other. Why would he do that? Why wouldn't he, if it was allegedly this bag of cocaine that he just got caught with, you know, he's already got it in his right hand. Why wouldn't he just pull his right hand around and tuck it in his pocket instead of transferring it from one hand to the other? Well, the reason why, folks, is because it is simply just a tissue and not a bag of cocaine. And that's why we're seeing headlines like this: absurd conspiracy. French media rushes to quash claims Macron, Merz, and Starmer caught hiding cocaine on a Kiev-bound train. But here's the thing, guys. This whole thing comes just after the European powers threw their weight behind an unconditional 30-day ceasefire. And they threatened Russian leader Vladimir Putin with a massive new sanctions if he did not accept. The leaders of Britain, France, Germany, Poland, and Ukraine are set to start the ceasefire for May 12th. That's today, at a meeting in Kiev, during which they held a phone call with the U.S. President Donald Trump. So all of us here together with the U.S. are calling Putin out. If he is serious about peace, then he has a chance to show it, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer told the press conference. That's what they were talking about. No more ifs, ands, or buts. No more conditions or delays. That's what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen. And we've already heard talk of a Russia-Ukraine peace deal that I reported on back in March of 2022, when the Russian President Vladimir Putin was supposed to be meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to draw up a tentative peace plan that would conclude the war. The deal was supposed to include a ceasefire and a withdrawal of Russian troops if Kiev renounces its ambitions for memberships of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, and they accept limits on its armed forces. Do you think that is going to happen again? Are we going to get a peace deal, ladies and gentlemen? Well, while everybody's bickering and arguing about whether or not this is a bag of cocaine or a tissue, these guys are literally getting prepared for war, guys. So let's not get too distracted. So we're going to talk about all of that and much, much more in this video, guys. But really quickly, just before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here at gogetfunding.com. This is a campaign I've launched because of the annual Bilderberg conference, which is coming up in just 1 month from today in Stockholm, Sweden. Guys, I will be there. Thank you so much to everybody who's contributed so far. I'm halfway to my goal. 34 people have contributed so far. Thank you so much to everybody who has already donated. Guys, if you have yet to contribute to this campaign, please consider making a contribution. Let's get this number up to at least 40 people today. That would be greatly appreciated, guys. So if you want to see me do the kind of coverage you've come to expect at Bilderberg from Press for Truth, please consider making a contribution in that Go Get Funding campaign link below. All right, guys. First of all, it's not like Emmanuel Macron is not the kind of guy to pull off some sort of, second-hand, trickery here. Here we see him, while asking for sacrifices from the French people, suddenly realize that he's wearing a very expensive watch. And voila, just like that, the watch disappears. As you see, on the left, you got a watch. On the right, you got no watch. Here's the moment he decides to take it off. Check this out.
Il y a les blocages, et les blocages, il faut pouvoir les lever quand ils empêchent l'activité normale. Et c'est pourquoi,
he's taking off the watch underneath the table, literally asking people to make some financial sacrifices. Oops, I got an expensive watch on. Let's just go ahead and take that off. So he's done, this kind of sleight of hand trickery before, which is probably what, adds to people thinking that, he was hiding a bag of cocaine here rather than just trying to remove a dirty tissue from a press conference scene. But, you have to consider other things as well. Like, it's not like we've never seen, global leaders, in the midst of war who were not massively using drugs like we've seen in history, as in the case with Adolf Hitler. His drug use was of epic proportions. In addition to cocaine, the German Führer also took amphetamines, sedatives, and hormones. In his book, Blitzed, German author Norman Euler described how the Third Reich was permeated with drugs, including cocaine, heroin, and most notably crystal meth, which was used by everyone from soldiers to housewives and factory workers. Euler says that Hitler, whose mental and physical health has been the source of much speculation, relied on daily injections of this wonder drug they called Eukodal, which puts the user in a state of euphoria and often renders them incapable of making sound judgments. And look at them, absolutely tweaking. So, it's not like a huge stretch of the imagination to think that some global leaders who are involved in a current war could be, tweaking out on drugs, literally like Adolf Hitler. But, I mean, come on. Cocaine-fueled, nuclear war-loving megalomaniacs being on display here on a train, traveling around, openly doing bumps of cocaine, I think is a little bit of a stretch, guys. We need to stick to, the things we know, like the fact that he declared himself that he desires to reign as a Jupiterian president, much like the Roman god of gods. And we can't forget the fact that the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, once fell victim to an elite banking pedophile ring when he was just 15 years old. His current wife, Brigitte Macron, seduced the would-be leader when he was just 15, and she was his 40-year-old teacher. Let me say that again. He was 15, she was 40. She was married at the time with 3 kids. As their relationship developed, Emmanuel soon found himself working as an investment banker in a highly paid position at the Rothschild Bank. So obviously a man who is controlled by pedophiles, and the Rothschild banking dynasty is going to do their bidding when it comes to this war. And now we've got these Western sanctions against Russia that have been toughened repeatedly since its full-scale invasion in 2022 without ending the war. But following through on the threat would be a sign of growing Western unity after months of unpredictability in the U.S. policy since Trump's return to the White House in January. After engaging directly with Russian officials, clashing publicly with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, and briefly cutting vital military aid to Kyiv, Washington has patched up its ties with Ukraine and signed an agreement giving the U.S. preferential access to new Ukrainian mineral deals. Like, guys, this is what's happening behind the scenes while everybody's, trying to figure out whether or not it's Coke or tissue. Trump, who did not immediately comment publicly on the European leader's remarks, also signaled frustration with what Washington views as Putin's foot dragging on a ceasefire. In the event that the ceasefire is violated, massive sanctions will be prepared in coordination between the European and the United States, Macron said. That's what we should be paying closer attention to, ladies and gentlemen, and not this massive distraction on whether or not this tissue here is actually a bag of cocaine. So just wanted to bring all of that to your attention, folks. Once again, if you do appreciate my efforts to do so, I want to remind you, I am heading to Stockholm, Sweden, just next month to cover the annual Bilderberg conference. Again, if you want to support my efforts to do so, you can contribute at this Go Get funding campaign. You may recall at last year's meeting in Madrid, Spain, I correctly predicted that Mark Carney was eyeing the position of Prime Minister and that he would be the next PM if Bilderberg would allow it. And now Mark Carney is officially Canada's next Prime Minister. So who's going to be there in Stockholm, Sweden, guys? I intend to find out. If that's something you would like to support, please click the top link in the description below. And that's all for today, guys. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.